Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the North East Lincolnshire series, centred around Grimsby and Cleethorpes along the Humber Estuary. North East Lincolnshire has 21 civil parishes. Here's today's for you. Hello folks, welcome back to North East Lincolnshire for the penultimate time, and we're starting this episode outside a railway station, and it's another one of these that's got one of these little crossings where if you want to cross on foot there's a little light to show you if you can or you can't. Luckily I don't need to cross the railway line because the railway station is literally just there, and that is our starting point. Welcome to Healing. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Welcome to Healing, a large village situated between Stallingborough and Great Coates in North East Lincolnshire. An unusual name, Healing is thought to be a reference to a spring which had healing properties, although this is somewhat disputed. It wasn't until Victorian times that the connection was suggested. Mind you, the spring's existence is in no doubt. In fact, there were two, and they were said to cure skin disorders. Healing's history can be traced back much further than Victorian times though. Part of the village even makes it obvious that settlement was a thing here centuries before. That would be an enormous moated site, which this walk will take us right through the centre of. Generally though, Healing has only grown since that Victorian period. It expanded rapidly in the late 19th century and early 20th, thanks to the addition in 1881 of its railway station. Back at the 1821 census, the population was just 94, and now it's four figures. Even in 1887, the village only consisted really of a church, a manor house, a rectory, and three detached dwellings: Healing House, Ivy House, and Healing Rookery. There were a smattering of other isolated buildings, but the remainder of the parish was mainly empty, enclosed fields. They've now been built upon, and the whole thing occupies a vast swathe of land to the south of the modern A180, officially the noisiest road in the UK. Let's get walking, folks. We begin our route around Healing by first driving to it from perhaps my least favourite road in Lincolnshire, the A180. Officially the noisiest road in the UK, the A180 was built of concrete as an extension to the M180 into Grimsby in 1983. Sound levels inside the average family car whilst on the road can hit as high as 92 decibels. However, parts of it close to residential areas have been resurfaced to reduce noise, and it's hoped soon the whole road will be normal tarmac. We're now on Great Coates interchange, a standard diamond junction which isn't all that impressive, but it does have an interesting story to tell from a few years ago. It was just off this very junction in the early 2000s that a brand new football stadium for Grimsby Town was almost built. It would have been called the Conoco Stadium, after the petrochemical giant who operate the Humber refinery at nearby South Killingholme. It never came off. On the northern edge of Healing is Healing Railway Station. This was built in 1881 and once again we're on the line between Cleethorpes and Barton upon Humber. Healing is similar to many other stations on this line, like Stallingborough for example. In fact, the only thing that sets this one apart from its near neighbour is its lack of a signal box. The services are the same. Again, this station has been operated by East Midlands Railway since 2021. One thing that does make the station unique though is its level crossing. It's fitted with a miniature traffic light which tells pedestrians if you can or can't cross. It's needed because the line speed here is 60 miles an hour. The station was the catalyst for expansive growth in Healing. By the beginning of the 20th century, some linear housing development had begun along Station Road and the avenue towards the railway station. Amenities developed too. This building at the end of Station Road, for example, used to be a spa shop until recently. Okay, so with the railway station being the start point and the end point here, effectively it means this corner where I'm standing now is the place I'll be working my way back to. I'll be forming a loop around this place. We'll be heading down Station Road to start with, past these shops, and taking a right turn, heading towards a park and a moated site, and then forming a huge loop around the village and eventually coming back from that way, this way across here, to the railway station, which is currently behind the camera. So yeah, it's a longish route. I think about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, something like that. It's a big old place, this Healing. Let's see what it's got to offer. Healing doesn't have a lot in the way of retail facilities now. Here, clustered together at the end of Station Road, is a shop, a chippy and a takeaway. Off Station Road is Poplar Road. This is lined with much more recent housing. It used to be called Brick Pit Lane because historically it led to Healing's brick pits. After being dug to extract clay in the 1950s, the pits were filled in and turned into this park, upon which tennis courts and a bowling green were added in 1974. It's in here you'll find Healing Village Hall. That's the brick building you can see in your shot now. This replaced a much older village hall, which we'll catch further around our route. The local scout hut is based in here too. Directly opposite the park is Westwood Road, and this will take us to one of Healing's most historic areas. Laced with earthworks, it's a field which was once a moated site, and it defended a large manorial complex. Let's go and check it out. So that sign says feel free to walk through it, and that's exactly what I'm about to do. We're going to walk through the moated settlement to the other side. You can see it's not very big. There's houses in the middle distance there. That's what we're aiming for. Now, just before we do that, there's a stone here which gives a little bit of history about it. It's very difficult to read because A, it's really low down to the ground, and B, it's kind of worn away, but I'll do my best to read this. This field was part of the medieval village of Healing. In the 14th century, a moat was dug here to defend an important house, but today only bumps and hollows remain to show where the moat, with its buildings, gardens and fish ponds, were once located. On the 24th of November 1999, this field was given to the Heritage Trust of Lincolnshire by Corton Land and Property to be managed as an ancient monument and as an amenity for the residents of Healing. Okay, so there you go. That's exactly what this place is, and now we're going to walk through it. And just like in New Waltham, I'm going to leave the camera running with no music, and we're just going to take a stroll across it. Hopefully you enjoy it. Once through the moated site, you're then on the Wisteria Drive estate, built mainly in 2001. This contains the Healing Health Centre. No healing springs needed these days, guys. This is your go-to place for health issues. Next door, there's a small playground, once again proving that new build estates always find a space for these. Healing continues to grow. Ever since its rapid expansion in the late 19th century, it hasn't really stopped. All these new estates to the village's north and west are just the tip of the iceberg. There are more brand new estates planned to be built on the road towards Stallingborough. It's another ever-expanding place. Via a path at the end of Cornflower Close, we're now on the Stallingborough Road, the B1210. The houses along here now start to get a little older because we're heading for the most historic area of the village. This includes the church, located up a track to the right. And that's not all we'll come across here. So we're heading for the church, but also down that track is the Healing Manor Hotel, the two landmarks in one. So we'll cover them both in one go. Dedicated to St Peter and St Paul, Healing's church dates from the 13th century. The upper parts of its bell tower are in the decorated Gothic style and are ashlar faced. The church was partly rebuilt in 1840 and underwent a Victorian restoration in 1876 by that man again, James Fowler of Louth. He would add a new roof and windows and would rebuild the south side. Within the churchyard is a 14th or 15th century crossbase and this sundial, which I thought was quite charming. The churchyard is split into two distinct sections after having been expanded in 1925. Next door to the church is Healing Manor Hotel. This occupies an 18th century hall built as a replacement for an earlier manor house. Remains of a former manor exist as two moats, one of which is within the modern gardens. We can't see that though, as a sign on the right, which I'm pointing out to you here, tells us it's private from this point onwards. So what's Healing like in terms of education then? Well, there are two main schools, and that one behind me is the main one. That's Healing Academy on the bend, where you turn towards Stallingborough that way, and towards, Stallingborough that way, sorry, and Great Coates that way. Get it right. So yeah, let's go check this out, and then we'll head back up towards the station. We're on the turn here. This is Healing Academy, which many of you may know as other names, including Healing Comprehensive School. It's been an academy since 2012. One of the largest in the Grimsby area and one of the most well respected, Healing has officially a maximum capacity of 900 students, although 914 were on roll in 2019. Next door to the school you'll find the old village hall. Empty currently, this is going to be turned into a shop, but it'll only be open to members of the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church. The school is mainly modern buildings, but if you continue down Low Road, there are older ones. Now, a piece of history that Healing Academy would likely rather forget, this was the school which educated both Maxine Carr and Ian Huntley, convicted for their parts in the 2002 Soham murders. Just past the school is a Cornish granite obelisk, Healing's War Memorial, and it lists 30 names, all of whom served in the two World Wars. 15 of them never returned. Once you get beyond the memorial, the next street to the right is Station Road, which is where I'm standing now. There's a roundabout behind me, and we're going to take a right turn as you look at it here, down this street here, to form a little loop to come back onto Station Road further up. In the 1920s, there was a shop on Rookery Road. The rear of that shop was to become this, the Healing and District Men's Social Club, also known as Healing Top Club. The village lacks a pub, so I suppose this is as close as it gets. It's right next door to the Rookery, reputedly the oldest property in the village. Neither, though, is a listed building. Rookery Road is otherwise a dead end which runs into another little housing estate. We're leaving this area by using Briar Lane, which brings us onto Carlton Road. Once again, this is another area populated by early to mid 20th century housing. It almost feels like a leafy city suburb. And we're back to Station Road again. Now, as well as housing on the road towards Healing Railway Station, a Methodist chapel was also established in 1906. Here is said chapel, built in the arts and crafts style. Healing's first chapel was for the primitive Methodists, occupying a disused workshop on Low Road in 1893. So much the same way as Healing Academy, I can't really film much of the Methodist Church at the moment because there's a nursery which is also part of that building too, so just do my best to avoid any children that may be knocking around. So from here we're heading towards another school. We're going to go this way up Station Road. The station is in the very far distance. We're going to turn right before we get there though and head towards this other school, Healing Primary. Our final section takes us up Fords Avenue as we work our way back to the north. This passes another quaint little park known as Fords Avenue Open Space. That's one thing that Healing definitely has going for it: open space. This estate we're on was built during the second half of the 20th century, and it seems nature and greenery was all part of the developer's planning. There's a lot of it here, and you may well have noticed the exceptional amount of trees that line Healing's roads. Tucked away off this road is Healing Primary Academy. Healing didn't get its first school until 1910. It was a public elementary school and it could hold 102 children. The building now forms part of the older section of Healing Academy. Next, Fords Avenue becomes densely wooded on the left-hand side, and then a right turn at the end of the road brings us to Oak Road and the Royal British Legion Club. It's here where Healing's local football teams play, including junior side Healing Hotspurs. And so this is the area where the football and the cricket teams play, and it's also where you'll find another war memorial in the form of a soldier, an outline of a soldier that stands behind the club in front of the playing fields. You've got the railway line that runs along the back of this, and from here really all I need to do is walk from this club and down this road here. It's a dead end, as you can see, ends in their car park. And the station is just at the end of the road, and that is a complete tour of Healing. We've walked all the way around, but of course there are still some bits and bobs which you haven't seen. Well, that's what rest off sections are for, and that's coming your way right now. Like many other parts of North East Lincolnshire, Healing's boundaries extend to the Humber estuary. After World War II, when the south bank of the Humber was industrially developed, Healing didn't escape it. Within the parish was Courtaulds textile fibre plant. It was built between 1952 and 1957 to produce viscose rayon staple fibre, a commodity known as fibro. In 1959, a new Cortel factory was constructed to make acrylic fibre. Both factories were substantially expanded in the 1960s and 1970s. The site was sold off in 1998 to Accordis UK, eventually going through a number of administrations, and production ceased in 2013. In 1992, an extension of the Seaburn-Novartis plant resulted in the construction of a combined heat and power station, which also fell within Healing Parish, and in the northeast of the parish now is a large industrial park. Named Europark, it was established by developers Wykeland and it employs around 2,000 people. To finish with, I needed the camera on the dash for the start of the next one, so I figured I'd show you a bit more of the Wisteria Drive estate. I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching this video, folks. Don't forget to like this episode if you haven't already. It really makes a difference with YouTube. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and give us a share too if you've got friends who'd like it. You can find all the links to my social media accounts below, as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page where you can donate to the channel. Also, if you've enjoyed this episode, have a look at some more videos in this series. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.